You're listening to Innovations in Maritime by RightShip, where we explore the innovations, technology, and people shaping the future of maritime supply chain risk management.
Today, we're speaking with the product manager at RightShip and one of the minds behind FleetFocus, our AI-powered insight layer with the RightShip platform that gives owners and managers actionable intelligence to move from reactive fixes to proactive fleet management. Abhinav has been instrumental in translating customer pain points into data-driven tools that simplify fleet management and strengthen safety outcomes. In this conversation, we'll be diving into the story behind FleetFocus, from how the team approaches discovery with ship owners and managers to the data, innovation, and AI features that are helping users make faster, more confident decisions. Abhinav, thank you so much for being here. Tell us about your role and some of the projects you've been working on.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Yeah, I'll quickly introduce myself. So my name is Abhinav. I'm the product manager at RightShip. I've been with the organization for a couple of years now, and I've been focusing predominantly on the ship owners and managers segment. So some of the previous projects that I worked on was launching Message Center for our managers to simplify their closeout submission process. Also working a lot into adding transparency around the inspection outcome process. And more recently, I've been working on FleetFocus, which help customers make sense of their fleet safety performance through data and benchmarking. My work mostly revolves around discovery. My job in one single statement is to be the voice of the customer within the organization. And that is what I usually focus on to translate those insights into usable products.
Awesome. Okay, since you talked about your main role being about discovery and the voice of the customer, so maybe let's just begin, with talking about product discovery. When developing FleetFocus, what were you hearing from the ship owners and managers?
One of the things that we found very quickly in our discovery process is that the customers actually had a lot of data on their vessels. However, that data was usually siloed, and also it made the job of the ship manager quite difficult because then they had to do a lot of manual workflows to translate that data into insights. So we focused on three main problems when we started developing FleetFocus. The first one was around unification of data. What that means is not looking at RightShip inspection data in isolation or a PSC deficiency in isolation, but trying to group them by themes. Are the issues predominantly in the safety systems issue or an environment issue or a machinery systems issue? So that kind of helped us work on the unification of data and helping customers make sense of which are the most problematic categories or themes that they face issues with. And also we kind of realized that we had to elevate the discussion to not just be focusing on vessels, but on fleet. So for a fleet manager who's managing multiple vessels, it is quite challenging to then go and look at one vessel data and try to link it with similar issues that they are finding on some other vessels. And that is what we wanted to really change and simplify for our ship managers. Another thing that we wanted to work on is kind of the trends. So a lot of the ship managers and our customers, they work very hard into terms of reducing the deficiencies and making the vessels and their fleets quite safe for operations. However, it is not very easy to kind of understand whether the efforts that they are taking are actually translating into outcome that they want to achieve. For example, in FleetFocus, we have the categories tab in which they can actually see if their most problematic categories is the issue actually correcting itself or is it getting worse. So it's not just enough to say that March was not a good month for our customers. It is important to understand contextually whether March was better than February and will it get better in April and May. And the third thing that we focused on, which was again a key feedback from all of our customers, is to do benchmarking. Now, benchmarking is information that is good for the whole industry. You want to, of course, be aware of how you're performing from your competitors. But benchmarking today, in most cases, is quite metric focused. So you basically, let's say, try to identify the deficiencies per inspection for your fleet, and then you want to say whether you're doing better or worse than your competitors. But for us, we took a very nuanced approach into making benchmarking quite layered. What I mean by that is we started looking into benchmarking and relying on these themes, the categorizations that we had done before. We are able to tell our customers that when you look at safety systems performance across your fleet and against your competitors, whether you are doing good or bad and by how much.
Awesome. I think you shared quite a bit of what you have discovered during the product discovery, which is like summarizing it is a lot of like data unification because of siloed data that they have. And then with that data, how can they spot trends, especially with them having to manage so many different vessels, right? And of course, benchmarking so that it's easier for them to benchmark their competitors. So I guess there are so many things that you probably uncovered, during the product discovery. So which pain points came non-negotiable when developing FleetFocus?
So the biggest non-negotiable with FleetFocus that I wanted to ensure as a product manager was to help our customers move from data to decisions. So even when we launched, we made sure that the users could benchmark their fleet, they could spot key trends right away and not just see raw data. I'll give you a key customer feedback that I got in one of our interviews. One of them told me that they face a lot of issues in just terms of understanding what categories their issues lie in. So they spend hours before every quarterly review to look into every finding that they've observed and then try to categorize it to say, whether it was a machinery issue or was it a process or plant issue. What we did with Fleet Focus was to take that feedback and really bake it into our system. So when we released our platform, you could easily understand, for example, at a fleet level, what are the top 5 categories which are driving the issues. The second thing that we wanted to really focus on was the benchmarking. As I said, it was one of the key feedback that almost all of our customers asked. What we kind of realized is, yes, we've usually been doing benchmarking to say that, okay, you are doing well than your peers. But we never really help our customers identify those peers. With Fleet Focus, we've released an update that allows our customers to create comparable fleets by actually choosing the specific DOCs or customers that they think that they should be compared against. So sky is the limit. You don't need to restrict yourself to say that, no, I'm only going to be comparing against. You can actually go against the competitors that you think is your actual competitor. You can create a comparable fleet with those DOCs. But even while doing everything, we have made sure that none of the individuals' data is compromised. What I mean is that you compare your fleet to a cohort of fleets and not just a direct competitor, so that you can try to hack our system to kind of understand their data. So I think that is going to be really valuable for our customers to drive commercial discussions in the future.
Thank you so much for sharing, what were some of the things that we launched in the September 2025 Fleet Focus launch. And I'm pretty sure, you're continuously working with ship owners and managers to basically try to improve Fleet Focus, and that's part of Right Fleet. Maybe share a little bit more about what are some of the upcoming features or tools that you're excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I really want to highlight that we've just scratched the surface with Fleet Focus. In product speak, we have just launched our MVP, which is the minimum viable product, and we are constantly engaging with our customers to try and build new things that they might find value with. Some of the key things that we are working on and very exciting opportunities. The first is identifying repeat deficiencies. Now, this is something that came to us during discovery, but it is also very complicated to do. And that is why we wanted to take a bit more time with it. What it helps you to do is to identify the deficiencies, not just in a particular event, for example, say RightShip inspections, but across different kind of safety performance data. So if I'm able to link an incident that happened 6 months ago on a vessel, and then be able to link that there was another RightShip inspection finding that happened because of the same thing, that is a key insight for our customers, because then they can identify that systemic issue and solve for it. Another few things that we are working on, which is quite impressive, is that we are working on expanded insights for our RISQ, RightShip inspection performance and incident patterns. And also something is just developing downloadable reports that our customers can use for internal and external reporting.
Awesome. That sounds very, very exciting. And we'll probably leave all of these nuggets to the next interview. So let's just move on to data and AI, because, you talked a lot about, data, turning data into decisions. So behind every, insight in Fleet Focus is the strength of RightShip's data and AI. So I'm pretty sure you would be a good person to talk about this. So RightShip data, is often described as one of the richest in the industry. From your view, what makes our data uniquely valuable for products like Fleet Focus?
RightShip inspections and incident data is incredibly deep and structured, and that is not just in volume, but in context. We have inspection data points on thousands of vessels that we have conducted inspections on. Every inspection is standardized, verified, and enriched with historical insights. What that means for FleetFocus is accuracy and confidence. When we say or the platform identifies a pattern, it's grounded in verified data and not assumptions. I think that is critical for our customers to understand. If we are saying that a machinery issue is happening across similar types of vessel, it's not coincidence, it's backed by real data.
I think that's really good because I think we use a lot of that data to feed these insights in FleetFocus. And I think not just only in FleetFocus, but a lot of our products across RightShip. So let's talk a little bit more about data unification. So how did you bring inspections, PSC, and incidents into one model?
Yeah, with great difficulty. Uh, Actually, jokes apart, what we wanted to do was to build a common language across data sources. If you think about an inspection or a PSC or an incident, all of it is there to describe the same story, which is risk on board a particular vessel or in a fleet. So what we did is we built this unified model by connecting these dots. The previous work that our team had done on PSC severity, we were able to easily combine the RightShip inspection data and PSC inspection data now because they follow the same patterns of like severity and also the same kind of deficiencies and description that we get from the observations that we get from these kind of events. And then if you look at incidents, we looked at it and we thought that incident is kind of like a high severity risk on board, right? Even though it was structured a little bit differently. And that is one of the challenges that we are still solving, but you can still use that information to give key insight for our customers. So if you look at, again, the themes of issues that your fleet might be having, it's easy to then use AI to look through all these different data sets, look at the data, look at the root cause, corrective and preventive actions that have been done across these data sets, and then try to categorize what that category must be.
Awesome. And this sounds really technical. And I think I'm glad that you shared that as well because, you talked about AI's role in all of these. So where does AI add the most value? Maybe example, trend summaries, hotspot detections, how do you keep it explainable and trustworthy, especially, with making sure that the data is being unified as well?
I have to say that because of the AI and the recent advances in AI, we've been able to do a lot of things that were initially thought to be very difficult. What AI really shines is looking at these millions of data points in these different kind of sources that we have from our customers and making sense of it. We actually had AI models look through millions of data points across like closeout reports, whether it was coming from a RightShip inspection report or a PSC or an incident, and then make sense of that data to summarize the trends, identify where these issues are happening, why it are happening, if there are patterns that are repeating over time. And that is what we wanted to use AI for. I think we are also very conscious that AI should support human experience and not replace it. What I mean by that is our approach, even though we've used these AI models to do the categorization, it is also vetted by our in-house team of SMEs. So we wanted to make sure that we are supporting our customers in doing this, maybe saving time and make their lives more efficient, but the key decision making still lies in their hands.
So you talked a little bit about, supporting human expertise. I think people might be quite curious about how, at RightShip, we are involving our human expertise. Our AI is not going to be here to replace what we do in the maritime industry with all of the human expertise that we have right now. So talk a little bit more about how we work with our marine excellence team and how do we make sure that AI is actually supporting the work that we do.
Absolutely. So, as I said, our key intention was to always help our customers and our marine experts in kind of doing the things that usually just takes a lot of time. So, I'll give you a very good example. If you think about any customer, right, and what they have to do is they have to look through a particular deficiency that they have observed and they want to understand, okay, where does this deficiency lie? Is it an engine room issue? Is it something else? It's a process issue, plant issue, what kind of issue, right? So what we did is that we used AI to run on these closeout reports to understand in depth what that issue was about. Having said that, we just didn't stop there. We worked with our Marine Excellence team members, and they actually went through every closeout and then kind of helped us make improvements to our model so that when it says that it's a systems issue or it's a machinery issue, then we are very confident about that. That's a key takeaway that we must have. It's not that we are just leaving everything to the AI because AI does not have the years of experience that our team members or people working in maritime industry have. So we are really using their knowledge to kind of tweak our model so that the outcome is closer to what our marine experts would say the outcome should be.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing a lot more about data and AI, especially in FleetFocus. And I think those have been really valuable for, our listeners. Now that we've covered, data and AI, so let's just explore how it's helping ship owners and managers make more confident and informed decisions. So why was benchmarking and comparison important to build into FleetFocus?
Yeah, with benchmarking, we realized very quickly that benchmarking has to be more layered than what it today is. Benchmarking cannot be just deficiencies per inspection. There's so much context and nuance there that we just leave without clarifying it for whoever this benchmarking is supposed to help. Let me give you an example. If you are just comparing a deficiency per inspection, but not taking into account where these ships are being inspected for a PSC, then you are not doing our customers a fair comparison, right? So what we wanted to do with that is to provide this layer of nuance that they can use the benchmarking to drive these discussions. So for example, in FleetFocus, what you can do is first select the kind of event that you want to compare on. So if you want to compare your PSC inspection performance, that's good. When we compare the PSC inspection performance, we actually look into what are the trading patterns for the comparable fleets to kind of normalize that data first. And then once we have done that, we also allow for comparison at a category and severity level. So for a category, for example, machinery and system maintenance, if you want to understand how are you performing when you look at machinery and system maintenance for high risk observations versus low risk observations, you can actually do that within FleetFocus. I think that is power, that is value, because you're not just saying that, okay, I have more deficiencies or I have less deficiencies. What you're bringing is this nuance. Where are the high severity deficiencies? And if the high severity deficiencies is not there, right, then technically you are performing much better than a competitor who has fewer deficiencies, but many more high severity ones.
I think you have given a very good example about benchmarking, how FleetFocus is going to help, ship owners and managers. How are you seeing owners and managers use FleetFocus to make more informed decisions?
For FleetFocus, what we wanted to see is that the customers, the fleet managers who have many, many vessels to manage, they can prioritize their limited resources much better. So if they have understood that their issues are concentrated in a particular region, if they've understood that the issue is concentrated in a particular category, they can focus on maintenance and corrective actions there and reduce the findings there. These kind of insights, what's happening, what's peccering, what's improving, what is not improving, that we want our customers to use our data to turn into daily decisions. And I think that is where FleetFocus adds the most value.
So we have just one last question for you, Abhinav. So for teams new to fleet level analytics, right? So we talked about not just focusing on one vessel, we talked about fleet level. What's the quickest path to value in 1 month, especially for someone who's new to fleet level analytics?
I think in the first month, we want our customers to start noticing how much time they are saving in just finding and connecting information. We want to completely replace the manual cross-checking with instant visibility. Without having to look into a particular closeout, you can have that information at a bird's eye view, but also at a microscope level, right? What that means is that you've understood where your main issues are, but if you want to really deep dive and go into that specific deficiency that is bothering you, you can do that through FleetFocus without ever having to pull out a closeout report. So that's the first thing that I want to help our customers save time by doing these practices. Within 90 days, I want our customers to start understanding the patterns and the trends in their data sets. So I want them to use that information to see whether the corrective actions that they are taking is actually helping. If not, then pivoting really quickly. And eventually, we want to get to a stage where we want our customers to understand safety recommendations that is coming from our platform. Because we understand what warrants what kind of best practices, we can help our customers use that information and provide that as a recommendation to then help them improve their systems.
Great. I think there's going to be a lot more that we can do for ship owners and managers. But for now, I think it sounds very exciting about what we currently have for them. So Abhinav, thank you so much for sharing those insights. It's great to hear how FleetFocus is, helping ship owners and managers and operators take a more proactive approach to safety and performance. We're excited to see how the product continues to evolve and deliver even more intelligence across RightFleet platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's Innovation in Maritime by RightShip. Keen to explore more innovations and ideas? Visit rightship.com today.